Thank you. It's true. And these are the best and the finest. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. But I speak to border guards, and they tell us what we're getting. And it only makes common sense. It only makes common sense. They're sending us not the right people. It's coming from more than Mexico. It's coming from all over South and Latin America, and it's coming probably from the Middle East. But we don't know, because we have protection, and we have no competence. We don't know what's happening. And it's got to stop. And it's got to stop fast.
What did I say? I'm not gloating, but what did I say? Did I not say that we would win it? We rocked them, Bama. We rocked them. Nigga, you see me coming on that plane?
Ask you a question.
What do you have? Go ahead. No, that's enough. Go ahead.
Can I ask? But that wasn't my question.
The problem is you don't write the truth. So, as far as I'm concerned, I want to go to the next
Can I ask you a question about...
No, not CNN, please. Go ahead.
The White House has not responded to these
I told you. CNN is fake news. Don't talk to me. Go ahead, please.
But he says he was retaliated against, and that's why he was removed from his...
Sure.
Yes, I'm sure, bitch. I got a head of CIA right here. He'll tell you.
Job. Do you have a response to that?
Okay, next question.
Mr. President, I have...
Guess that means you need to shut up. That's what I do if I had no army. I would shut up. Shut the
Why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them?
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's
You
the
mind?
answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to... You're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Can you answer why you held on to the documents?
I was negotiating, and we were talking to...
It was $35,000.
$35,000 cash money.
No, I give $35,000 plus one, right?
The one I gave.
No, you gave me six, though, right? It was one. I had one. It was six, and it's $35,000 plus one plus six leaves seven. $35,000 and seven, right? Motherfucker, can you buy that?
Let's hear the question from this very low-rated anchor at CB.
Thank you, President.
Damn, I know I shouldn't have called on this nigga. I shouldn't have called on you because you're always trying to distract motherfucker. Fine, I'll answer your stupid-ass question.
I plan to ask President Bukele to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported. The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador.
Well, let me
Stop worrying about that. I got that under control.
ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country.
That means you need to shut up. That's what I do if I had no army. I would shut up. Shut the
So will you return him, President
And
Bukele?
you are doing a great job. Thank you.
you.
Wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant, because they're totally slanted, because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them.
We won a case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women and children.
No, shut the
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over, and that's why nobody watches you anymore?
By the way, if you are smart enough, you will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're gonna know who I am. Very good.
The entitlement.
No, believe me, I'm much better than that.
Get the fuck out!
However ridiculous it may sound, the world communist system or the world communist conspiracy, whether I scare some people or not, I don't give a hoot. If you are not scared by now, nothing can scare you. But you don't have to be paranoid about it. What actually happens now, that unlike myself, you have literally several years to live on unless the United States wake up. The time bomb is ticking. With every second, the disaster is coming closer and closer. Unlike myself, you will have nowhere to defect to, unless you want to live in Antarctica with penguins. This is it. This is the last country of freedom and possibility.
Okay, so what do we do? What is your recommendation to the American people?
Well, the immediate thing that comes to my mind is, of course, there must be a very strong national effort to educate people in the spirit of real patriotism, number one. Number two, to explain them the real danger of socialist, communist, whatever, welfare state, big brother government. If people will fail to grasp the impending danger of that development, nothing ever can help the United States. You may kiss goodbye to your freedom, including freedoms to homosexuals, to prison inmate. All this freedom will vanish, evaporate in 5 seconds, including your precious lives. The second thing, the moment at least part of the United States population is convinced that the danger is real, they have to force their government. And I'm not talking about sending letters, signing petitions, and all this beautiful, noble activity. I'm talking about forcing United States government to stop aiding communism. Because there is no other problem more burning and urgent than to stop the Soviet military-industrial complex from destroying whatever is left of the free world. And it is very easy to do. No credits, no technology, no money, no political or diplomatic recognition, and of course no such idiocy as grain deals to USSR. The Soviet people, 270 millions of Soviets, will be eternally thankful to you if you stop aiding a bunch of murderers who sit now in Kremlin and whom President Reagan respectfully calls government. They do not govern anything, least of all such complexity as the Soviet economy. So basic, two very simple, maybe too simplistic answers or solutions, but nevertheless, they are the only solutions. Educate yourself, understand what's going on around you. You are not living at a time of peace. You are in a state of war, and you have precious little time to save yourself. You don't have much time, especially if you are talking about young generation. There's not much time left for convulsions to the beautiful disco music. Very soon it will go, just overnight. If we are talking about capitalists or wealthy businessmen, I think they are selling the rope on which they will hang very soon. If they don't stop, if they cannot curb their unsettled desire for profit, and if they keep on trading with the monster of the Soviet communism, they are going to hang very soon. And they will pray to be killed, but unfortunately they will be sent to Alaska probably to manage industry of slaves. It's simplistic. I know it sounds unpleasant. I know Americans don't like to listen to things which are unpleasant, but I have affected not to tell you the stories about such idiocy as microfilm, James Bond type espionage. This is garbage. You don't need any espionage anymore. I have come to talk about survival. It's a question of survival of this system. You may ask me, what is it in for me? Survival, obviously, because unlike, as I said, I am now in your boat. If we sing together, we will sing beautifully together. There is no other place on this planet to defect to.
Morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to a special Thursday edition of Ticks. Woo! Things have gotten hot. Before we jump into what Karoline had to say in today's press conference, I just had to share a little tidbit with you all today. And you tell me whether or not this woman's license to practice medicine should be revoked or not.
Senator Hawley. I think it's science-based, by the way, that men can't have babies, but that's going to be something. Senator Hawley, don't worry about it. Senator Hawley, that was Senator Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you bring it up, Why don't we just start there? Dr. Verma, I wasn't sure I understood your answer to Senator Moody a moment ago. Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
Many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women. That
can men get pregnant?
Again, as I'm saying,
let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. So can men get pregnant? You're a doctor, I think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool. And
no, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence, and I'm asking you. You know, the United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert. And you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating male with...
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
What you were talking about is biological.
You're not going to answer my question.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men get pregnant? Yes or no?
I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you that is not coming from a place of trying to be polarized and push.
I'm not trying to be polarizing. I'm trying to ask. I think it is extraordinary that we are here in a hearing about science and about women. And for the record, it's women who get pregnant, not men. We are here about the safety of women and science that shows that this abortion drug causes adverse health events in 11% of cases. That's 22 times greater than the FDA label, another fact you haven't acknowledged. And yet you won't even acknowledge the basic reality that biological men don't get pregnant. There's a difference between biological men and biological women. I don't know how we can take you seriously and your claims to be a person of science if you won't level with this on this basic issue. I thought we were past all of this, frankly. I can't believe we're still here talking about this.
I am a person of science, and I'm also someone here who's here to represent the complex experiences of my patients. And I don't think polarized language or questions serve that goal. I don't think they serve the American people.
It is not polarizing to say that there is a scientific difference between men and women. And I want this to be clear and for the record. It is not polarizing to say that women are a biological reality and should be treated and protected as such. That is not polarizing. That is truth. It is also, by the way, the United States Constitution, which offers unique protections to women in a variety of circumstances as women. And your refusal to recognize women as women and men as men is deeply corrosive to science, to public trust, and yes, to constitutional protections for women as women. And I think it's extraordinary that you would sit here and advance a political agenda that has been thoroughly discredited and rejected by the American people in this forum. And I'm glad we had this exchange because it is exceptionally clarifying. It is also in many ways quite depressing. I see that my time has nearly expired. I just want to thank the other witnesses for being here. Thank you for protecting women and children. Thank you for your valiant efforts. Thank you for following the science. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this hearing.
Senator also Brooks.
She should have her license revoked. Let's just be honest. All right, let's get to the main course. She won't be on here long, like 33 minutes, so probably 45, knowing me. But we have some more videos to get to after this. Let's get to it.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. A packed room today. Thank you all for coming.
So,
President Trump is making America affordable again through his proven economic formula of powerful tariffs, fair trade deals, massive middle-class tax cuts, energy dominance, and aggressive deregulation. The overwhelmingly positive economic data released this week underscores the significant progress the president has already delivered. Tuesday's CPI report marked the latest confirmation that President Trump has defeated Joe Biden's inflation crisis. Since President Trump took office, core CPI has increased at just a 2.4% annualized rate, substantially lower than the 3.3% annual rate inherited from the Biden administration last January. Importantly, as inflation cools, Americans' wages are rising, giving the American people more purchasing power. And with what is likely going to be a record-breaking tax refund season in the next couple of weeks, the American people will be reaping the rewards of the massive tax cuts that were signed into law by the president. Thanks to President Trump's signing of no tax on tips, overtime, Social Security, boosting the child tax credit, and locking in the 2017 Trump tax cuts, independent estimates project the average American tax filer could expect up to an extra $1,000 bump to their tax refund next year. This is going to be a helpful boost to working families who are making ends meet. On the energy front, the national average price for a gallon of regular gas this week fell to its lowest level in 5 years, thanks to President Trump's drill baby drill agenda. According to Gas Buddy, the average price for regular gas on Monday was below $3 per gallon in 43 states, below $2.75 per gallon in 30 states, and at or below $2.50 per gallon in 17 states. In fact, gas prices were below $2 a gallon at stations in at least 19 states. Don't forget, this was unheard of just a couple of short years ago. Overall, drivers are projected to spend $11 billion less at the gas pump this year than they did last year, resulting in hundreds of dollars in critical savings for the average American family. We're also seeing the housing market rebound as borrowing costs ease and income growth outpaces home price gains. According to a new report also released this week from the National Association of Realtors, existing home sales in December rose to their fastest pace in 3 years. To further improve housing affordability, President Trump has recently announced and directed Fannie and Freddie to purchase $200 billion worth of mortgage bonds. As a result of these actions, mortgage rates have fallen to their lowest level in years. As of last Friday, rates for the average 30-year mortgage are down more than 1 full percentage point. Because of these significant declines, monthly housing payments are now at their lowest level in 2 years, and we expect this decrease to continue. As someone who was enormously successful in real estate, President Trump understands that owning a home is about more than just having a physical asset. It's about empowering young people to stake their claim in the American dream. It's about giving newlyweds a place to make their own and start a family. It's about promoting the spirit of hard work, determination, and yes, the rugged individualism that has made America the greatest country in the history of the world. President Trump knows America is strongest when it's a nation of owners, not renters, and he is determined to unlock that opportunity for as many Americans as possible. That's why he will outline additional housing initiatives during his major speech in Davos next week, and we look forward to seeing many of you there. Finally, this morning, President Trump unveiled a healthcare plan for America called the Great Healthcare Plan, and a video message detailing his solutions to lower costs for all Americans and significantly improve our healthcare system. The Great Healthcare Plan will accomplish this through 4 common sense pillars. Number 1, permanently lowering prescription drug prices. Congress can get this done by codifying President Trump's historic most favored nation initiatives into law to guarantee Americans the same low prices for prescription drugs that people in other countries around the world pay. Additionally, by increasing consumer choice by making more verified, safe pharmaceutical drugs available for over-the-counter purchases. Number 2, the Great Healthcare Plan will stop sending big insurance companies billions in extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice.
Yeah,
Additionally, by funding a cost-sharing reduction program for healthcare plans and ending kickbacks from pharmacy benefit managers to large brokerage middlemen. Number 3, the Great Healthcare Plan will maximize price transparency by requiring any healthcare provider or insurer who accepts either Medicare or Medicaid to publicly and prominently post their pricing and fees to avoid surprise medical bills. This is an incredibly popular policy that has been bipartisan for many years, and President Trump is officially and firmly calling on Congress to get it done. And number 4, holds big insurance companies accountable by requiring them to publish rate and coverage comparisons up front on their websites in plain English so consumers and everyday Americans can make the best purchasing decisions for them and their families. These are common sense actions that make up President Trump's great healthcare plan, and they represent the most comprehensive and bold agenda to lower healthcare costs to have ever been considered by the federal government. Congress should immediately take up President Trump's plan and pass it into law. For Americans watching at home, you can visit greathealthcare.gov right now for more information on the Great Healthcare Plan. And with that, we will open it up to questions. In our new media seat today, we have a familiar face, Riley Gaines. I'm surprised it took us a year to get you here, but I'm very happy to see you. I know you have a new podcast.
Glad to be of service. Trust me, that whole, I've said what I had to say on the whole Corey thing. I'm done with it. But, you know, I've cleaned out. I'm trying to clean out my algorithm so that way when I wake up in the morning and I cut on YouTube and I start going through my channels, I don't see that crap. I just stopped watching it, to be honest. But let's get on to the real stuff. So Riley Gaines is sitting in the media seat, huh?
That's the Riley Gaines Show. And so thank you. And you brought a beautiful baby and your lovely husband too. So thank you so much for joining. And why don't you kick us off?
Absolutely. Well, thank you. First and foremost, congratulations to you. Being a girl mom will change your life in the best way.
Okay. For the record, before they get into this, of course, you see we got, y'all know, okay, California cutie. Come to find out, going through Twitter, the news feeds and everything, her name is Cara Noel. And she's a champion boxer. This chick right here, California cutie, the reporter. She's a champion boxer. She will beat your tail. I did not know this. Anyway, let's get into it. I just want to point that out.
Possible. So excited you get to shop all the pink and the frilly and the bows. I was in Washington, D.C. earlier this week for the Supreme Court case. There were two arguments that were heard surrounding sex-based rights and if it's constitutional for states to pass laws that ultimately protect those rights for women. If the Supreme Court rules as anticipated in favor of maintaining these sex-based rights, is the administration prepared to take action against the states? I believe at this point it's 23 states that don't have those protections for women?
Absolutely. And as you know, Riley, the administration already has done so. We've taken action in a number of fronts against these states who are failing to uphold the president's executive orders and this administration's policy of simply protecting women in women's sports and in women's private spaces. We've gone to the mat with large universities in this country as well to try to fight for what's fair and what's just for women and girls across the country. So I know you were at the arguments. I listened to them myself as a woman and as a former athlete. And I think the president speaks on common sense on this issue that women's sports and private spaces should be protected. And and that there are two genders, there are two sexes. That is not something we should be afraid to say in this country. And I think, frankly, it was quite alarming to not only hear a couple of justices gravel over that basic, fundamental biological fact that men and women are different but inherently equal, but we are certainly different, and women deserve such rights. We hope and expect that the Supreme Court will rule in the right way on this matter.
She's talking about Ketanji Brown Jackson's idiot self, who sounded just like that supposed doctor that we heard a few minutes ago, confused as to what is a biological male and a biological female. Like, you know, I mean, just the simple fact that you're confused about that should disqualify you from the Supreme Court. It should disqualify you from just being a judge or a prosecutor or any other type of profession, especially the medical profession. You should not be in a position of power if you are too idiotic to admit that there are only two sexes. Your little made up whatever means absolutely nothing to nobody but you. But in the real world, we go by the science, and the science says biological male, biological female. Only biological females can get pregnant. End of discussion. I can't believe we're still doing this garbagey tap dance here in 2026 concerning this. You should be thrown in a loony bin just for trying to tap dance around it and lose any type of license or accreditation or PhDs, doctorates, everything. You should be stripped. You should be stripped for being that stupid.
Thank you. Gabe.
Karoline, thank you very much. A lot to talk about.
Sure. Isn't there always a lot to talk about?
What can you share about the president's meeting with Maria Corina Machado? Is it underway? What can you share about that? And then also, the president said yesterday that Delcy Rodriguez was, quote, a terrific person. Does the president trust the remaining members of the Maduro regime?
I will say, to your first question, the meeting was about to begin as I was stepping out of the Oval Office moments ago. So my understanding is that it's underway right now. I know the president was looking forward to this meeting, and he's was expecting it to be a good and positive discussion with Ms. Machado, who is really a remarkable and brave voice for many of the people of Venezuela. So the president looks forward to obviously talking to her about the realities on the ground in the country and what is taking place. As for Ms. Rodriguez, the president did speak with her directly this week. As you know, he revealed that to all of you yesterday. And Secretary Rubio and the administration have been in constant communication with Ms. Rodriguez and other members of the interim government in Venezuela. They have been extremely cooperative. They have thus far met all of the demands and requests of the United States and of the president. And I think you have all seen that play out. We obviously had a $500 million energy deal that was struck in large part because of the cooperation from Ms. Rodriguez. Venezuela and Ms. Rodriguez have also confirmed that they will be releasing political prisoners from Venezuela. There were 5 Americans who were recently released this week as well. So the president likes what he's seeing and will expect that cooperation to continue.
All right, so Ms. Machado is the rightful president, the rightful elected president of Venezuela. But of course, you know what happened with Maduro stealing the election, putting a bounty on her head and everything. And she won a Nobel Peace Prize. When she was in the White House today, and she gifted her Peace Prize to Donald Trump.
Regarding the investigation into the leak that the president referenced yesterday, what is the administration's position on the Washington Post reporter? The Post has reported that she was told that she is not a target of the investigation. Does the administration believe she did anything wrong? And then also, what is the administration's position on the Pentagon Papers case from the 1970s that affirmed reporters' right to publish classified information under certain circumstances?
Well, since this is an active investigation, I don't want to comment on it much more than what we did yesterday to obviously confirm the investigation. And I can confirm what the Attorney General stated and the President as well, which is that the individual, unfortunately, a contractor at the Pentagon, chose to unlawfully leak classified and very serious information to this Washington Post reporter. Hence why the reporter's home was looked into by the FBI, rightfully so. And the administration is not going to tolerate leaks, especially from within the national security apparatus of the United States government, that put our nation's integrity and our national security at risk.
Yeah, that dude going to prison. You going to federal prison. I don't know why you did that. I don't know why people are being so traitorous to America. I mean, the stupidity of this whole TDS situation or whatnot. I mean, you guys, I'm sorry. I am not going to share a cell with a Diddy because I want to stick it to the president. I want to stick it to Trump. I'm trying to attack an ICE agent. We'll cover that too, as far as when they attacked that ICE agent's car. Yeah, I swear to God, man. I swear, people are stupid. They are stuck on stupid.
Stop. The president will not support that. I know the Secretary of War will not support that, and it will not stand. And legal action will be taken against anyone, whether it's a member of the press or whether it's an employee for a federal agency who breaks the law. If you break the law and if you endanger our men and women in uniform, you are going to be held accountable, period, full stop. Jackie.
Does this administration believe that this reporter or any reporter has a right to publish classified information under certain circumstances?
Look, I think that we do not believe that individuals who have been given the privilege of holding a top secret clearance should be illegally leaking that classified information. And I know the American people agree with that. And I think it's a basic tenet of journalistic integrity not to publish information that could directly endanger the operational security or the brave men and women who are serving this country in uniform and putting themselves in harm's way to protect not just the people of this administration, but all of you in the press and all of their fellow Americans as well. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. I wanted to get the White House reaction to Iranian state TV broadcasting an implicit threat to the president's life. It was images of the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, according to reports, with the message, "This time it will not go wrong."
I have not seen that, to be honest with you, Jackie. We'll take a look and I'll let the president and his national security team examine that footage to ensure its legitimacy. Again, I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on it. What I will say with respect to Iran is that the president and his team have communicated to the Iranian regime that if the killing continues, there will be grave consequences. And the president received a message, as he revealed to all of you and the whole world yesterday, that the killing and the executions will stop. And the president understands today that 800 executions that were scheduled and supposed to take place yesterday were halted. And so the president and his team are closely monitoring this situation, and all options remain on the table for the president.
You drop a bomb on them. And then every time you talk to them after that, as much as they like to stick their chest out and whatnot, but when the president say, well, let's step outside, suddenly, they arthritis get to acting up. Trump was like, oh, well, let's step outside. Your security detail. I don't want to get sued. my knees, my arthritic knees. 1,001 excuses, huh? Yeah, you can talk tough all you want to, but I think you need to sit down, Iran.
Who encouraged him against strikes.
Look, it's true that President spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu, but I would never details about their conversation without giving the expressed approval by the president himself. Ouija.
Thank you, Caroline. Is it still the president's assessment that it would be very hard for...
Wait. Her shoes match. Her shoes. She got a white shirt with white boots on. All right. Hey.
Ms. Machado to leave Venezuela because he says she lacks the respect and support in that country. And will he raise that with her today?
I think the president's assessment that you just pointed out was based on realities on the ground. It was a realistic assessment based on what the president was reading and hearing from his advisors and national security team. And at this moment in time, his opinion on that matter has not changed.
He has also said that he would like there to be elections in Venezuela when the time is right.
That's right.
Do you have any update on when that might be? And is he committed to a transition to democracy for Venezuela?
Yes, and he is also committed to hopefully seeing elections in Venezuela one day, but I don't have an updated timetable for you today. Reagan in the back.
Thanks, Caroline. I have a question for you on Minnesota and then also Venezuela.
Sure.
President Trump threatened invoking the Insurrection Act today in a Truth Social post. I'm wondering what his tipping point is. Like, what would it take for him to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Look, that's only a question, frankly, Reagan, the president can answer. But the Insurrection Act is a tool at the president's disposal. As you know, it has been used sparingly, but it has been used by previous presidents in American history. And I think the president's Truth Social post spoke very loud and clear to Democrats across this country, elected officials who are using their platforms to encourage violence against federal law enforcement officers, who are encouraging left-wing agitators to unlawfully obstruct legitimate law enforcement operations. And if you talk to any law enforcement officer, no matter what level they work at, they want to be working with their counterparts, whether that's at the federal level, where the federal authorities wanting to work with their counterparts at the state and local level. And it's truly shameful that now for more than a year, you've had elected Democrat governors and mayors who have basically held their state and local law enforcement hostage and told them, you cannot cooperate with federal law enforcement. Why? They cooperated under the Biden administration. It's because these Democrats are deranged in their hatred for President Trump, and they are holding their state and local law enforcement hostage as a result. And these Democrat mayors and governors are doing this over what? Over the lawful and legitimate law enforcement operations to remove violent criminals from the streets of Minnesota, from the streets of California, from the streets of New York, and from the streets of every state across this country. And you don't see these riots and this vandalism taking place in states like Florida. Why? Because you have a governor in that state who has empowered federal and local authorities to work together. And it's despicable what we're seeing from these Democrat politicians, especially in sanctuary states and cities across the country.
Yesterday, Caroline.
Go ahead, John.
Oh, thank you so much. My question is, President Trump has talked twice in recent days, once at the Kennedy Center and then to Reuters again last night, about canceling the election. Why is he talking about this?
I believe you're referring to the president's interview at Reuters last night. I was in that interview. It was a closed door interview. Obviously, there was not audio or video. The president was simply joking. He was saying, we're doing such a great job. We're doing everything the American people thought. Maybe we should just keep rolling. But he was speaking facetiously.
And then one more
Sure.
on the labor secretary. She's under investigation. Has he spoken to her about this?
I don't know if the president has spoken directly to the secretary. If they have, I'm unfamiliar with that conversation, but I have spoken to the president about that report regarding the secretary. He's aware of the internal investigation and he stands by the secretary, and he thinks that she's doing a tremendous job at the Department of Labor on behalf of American workers. PBS, go ahead.
You were mentioning a moment ago about working federal, state, local officials in Minneapolis. Governor Walz's office is saying today that he's trying to get a hold directly with the president. Have they spoken? And if they haven't, why haven't they spoken? If there's
what does he want?
Desire from Walz, they're saying to de-escalate what's happening there.
I'm not sure if that's a genuine offer to speak with the president. I was with the president about 30 minutes ago and they hadn't spoken at that point. Look, the president is always willing to answer the phone when people pick up and call. When there was another tragic shooting many months ago in Governor Walz's state, he spoke directly with the governor. But I would ask that the governor stops inciting the harassment and illegal obstruction of law enforcement in his state.
Y'all need to arrest him for inciting violence, inciting to riot. Him and Fry. Y'all need to throw the cuffs on these dudes. Stop playing.
ICE and federal law enforcement are trying to do are remove people like this off of the streets of Governor Walz's city in Minneapolis and of his state in Minnesota. If you look at some of the individuals in this photo, these are all illegal alien criminals who came into our country under the previous administration. This is some of the most disturbing crimes you will ever read about. And there's only a few reporters in this room who will actually talk about these individuals. This is all ICE is trying to do. They are trying to remove people like this from Governor Walz's state. And so, yes, he should pick up the phone and he should say that he will cooperate with this president and with the federal government in making Minnesota safer, because that's all President Trump and his administration want to do. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. The president says he wants money to go directly to Americans so they can buy their own insurance. How exactly would this work? And can the president assure Americans that this will be enough to cover their healthcare costs?
So this is the second principle in the president's healthcare plan, lowering insurance premiums specifically and ensuring that that money is going directly back to the American people and cutting the kickbacks that then raise those premiums. So this plan, once put into legislative text and passed by Congress and sent to the president's desk, will stop sending big insurance companies billions of an extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice through, you may have heard it be referred to as health savings accounts. Whether that ends up being the actual name of such accounts, we'll have to see. Again, Congress and the White House are going to work together to put this plan into action. And then secondly, the Great Healthcare Plan will fund a cost-sharing reduction program for healthcare plans, which will save taxpayers at least $36 billion and reduce the most common Obamacare plan premiums by over 10%. And that's according to the Congressional Budget Office.
20 million Americans in recent weeks have seen their healthcare costs soar. Can he assure them that if this plan is put in place, that they will be able to cover those costs?
If this plan is put in place, every single American who has health care in the United States will see lower costs as a result. They will see more transparency. All of these proposals that are within the Great Healthcare Plan are incredibly popular with the American people, and they will impact everyone, not just a small fraction of those who are within the healthcare marketplace, but every single American will continue to see their costs go down. And I will note that they already are with respect to prescription drug prices. When you look at what the president has done with most favored nations, you've seen these big pharmaceutical companies in the Oval Office saying that this president and his team were nonstop around the clock pressuring us and negotiating with us to lower the cost of prescription drugs for Americans. And we are already seeing that to the tune, in some cases, of more than 500%. And that Trump RX website is something that the administration will be formally not launching very soon, so Americans will have access to those lower costs of drugs. Josh.
Thank you. The president has called on credit card companies to lower the cap rate to 10% effective the 20th next week. If they don't do that, what's his... What'll he do? What's the threat?
Well, tariffs? No, I'm just kidding. The president certainly has an expectation, Josh, that the credit card companies will do this, just as he did with the pharmaceutical companies, that they will lower costs for American consumers. I don't have a specific consequence to outline for you, but certainly this is an expectation and, frankly, a demand that the president has made.
Can you give us an update on the Fed? Sorry. There was some reporting from, I think, Fox Business that Rick Reeder had an interview this week scheduled. The president's indicated he's already made a selection, or at least some kind of, he's settling on someone. Where is he in that process, and when can we expect an announcement? Is he still doing interviews?
Look, the president is in the same place as you all have been asking about this for many, many weeks. He's in a decision-making phase. There are a few people who he likes very much for this job, maybe less than that. The truth is, like with all decisions, it's a decision for the president to make. And he said to Reuters in that interview last night that he thinks he'll be finally making that decision in the next couple of weeks. So we will see.
And very quickly, there's been some criticism from other governments about Grok and XAI, the Twitter AI bot, and things it's been doing to manipulate images, including whether that would violate the Take It Down Act that the First Lady just supported. We've not heard from this administration on it. Elon Musk says that they've disabled that, but I wanted to ask you whether the administration has a position and whether that's something that you will be pursuing, or whether the president is talking to Mr. Musk about that.
Yes, I will talk to the Office of Science and Technology, and we will get you a firm statement and answer on exactly where the administration stands. I don't want to speak on that without speaking with the experts on it. Yes.
Just to follow up on the health care plan, one of the things in the Affordable Care Act was coverage of pre-existing conditions. Is there any discussion or inclusion on that issue in the president's plan?
The president's plan that he outlined today will have no impact on individuals in this country with pre-existing conditions. Obviously, that's a continued conversation that the White House will have with Congress, but that's not the president's intention with the Great Healthcare Plan. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. Two questions on Minneapolis.
And then you. Go ahead.
Thanks. Two questions on Minneapolis, one on the ICE agent, the other on the rioting. I believe last night there were protesters or rioters that rifled through an FBI car, took weapons. We had a reporter embedded with ICE who said that she saw constant harassment all evening. can you speak to the rhetoric we're hearing from Democrat politicians, whether they are causing violence against ICE, as well as some of the headlines we've seen, not including the full story?
Yeah, I mean, to your first point, I think I've addressed that these Democrat governors and mayors in not just Minnesota, but in states across the country are essentially, they've referred to ICE agents who, again, are brave men and women. And I would encourage everyone in this room, and I would encourage Governor Walz and other Democrats who are demeaning law enforcement to sit down and have a cup of coffee with an ICE agent or a Border Patrol agent. These are great, patriotic men and women who have families, who put on the uniform every day and are following our nation's immigration laws at the direction of their bosses and again, at the direction of the law. They are simply trying to enforce the law. And the Democrat Party has demeaned these individuals. They've even referred to them as Nazis and as the Gestapo. And that is absolutely leading to the violence we're seeing in the streets. If you look at some of the images out of Minneapolis last night, look at this vehicle. Look at what it says. It says F ICE. You have these individuals who are putting their middle finger, proudly so, at the camera. Another ICE individual, a vehicle that was vandalized last night by these left-wing agitators. People don't do this without encouragement from people in power who make them feel like it's okay. Here's another one. And I'm pretty sure this car, you can't see it, said the best agent is a dead agent or something to that effect. This is despicable rhetoric that we're seeing. And the media is absolutely complicit in this violence, because if you look at the headline from CNN, protests erupt after federal agent shoots man in Minneapolis. That is not the story. That is not the truth. If you actually want to know the truth, you can look at what the Department of Homeland Security released, which is that this ICE agent was executing a targeted operation against a Venezuelan illegal alien who was unlawfully present in the country. And when this ICE agent tried to detain the individual, 3 more of his comrades came rushing out of a house and started ambushing and attacking the ICE agent. They used a shovel or a broom to smash his face in. And so, yes, that agent had to use self-defense and take up his weapon to protect his own life. That is what's happening on the streets of Minneapolis. That's what's happening on the streets, unfortunately, of these Democrat-run cities and states where you have elected officials who are encouraging such violence against our brave men and women in law enforcement.
Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions. First, a follow-up on one of my colleagues who asked you about the president's interview with Reuters. You said that he was joking about canceling the elections, but Americans for generations have fought and died for democracy, for this democracy.
And your point is
the president finds the idea of canceling elections funny?
Andrew, were you in the room? No, you weren't. I was in the room. I heard the conversation. And only someone like you would take that so seriously and pose it as a question that
way. Shut up, bruh. Damn, you opened up saying he was joking, but do you think that's why she just clowned you?
Caroline, Senator Elizabeth Warren said that the president called her earlier this week to discuss caps on credit card interest rates. I'm curious, would the president work with her and other Democrats in Congress on a legislative fix to this issue?
I think the president would work in good faith with anyone in Congress for a good legislative fix that would benefit the American people. And that's precisely why he called Senator Warren earlier this week on that matter.
Thanks, Caroline. Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally. And earlier on, Secretary Noem spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. So 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE.
Wait. So you say 170 citizens were detained by ICE. How do you get detained by ICE as a U.S. citizen? Bueller? You know how you get detained by ICE as a U.S. citizen? Mainly by getting in the way. By being in the way. Or associating with a known illegal criminal.
And Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent.
You sure was?
How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion?
Yeah.
Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed it unjustified.
So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist. Kelly.
Two quick questions on Iran. I wanted to ask first.
Wait, that's 2 finger snaps with a twist. Oh my God, that was a slapping. That was a witch slapping. I'm trying not to curse, but she slapped him up and down this press booth.
If you can say, how close was the president to potentially launching strikes last night, and was it the Gulf states that convinced him not to do that, as some of the region there have said?
And look, he can't even dress. He got on this green jacket with this blue and white striped tie and this, what is this, mauve shirt. Man, stop getting your clothes from the thrift store, all right? You can tell he don't have a wife, because his wife would not let him walk out the house dressed like that.
Well, look, Kelly, I know there's been a lot of speculation in the media about what the president is going to do at any given moment or any given night. And I would say a lot of these stories, to be honest with you, I've been reading them, and they have been based on anonymous sources who are pretending or guessing to know the president's thinking. The truth is, only President Trump knows what he's going to do, and a very, very small team of advisors are read into his thinking on that. And as I just told you, he continues to closely monitor the situation on the ground in Iran. And as we saw yesterday, he had heard that the killings and executions would stop. And we have seen 800 people, their lives have been spared as a result of that. The president continues to closely monitor, but also keep all of his options on the table.
Well, maybe he does have a wife and she just don't care about him. Yeah, honey, you look nice. Bye. Hello, Raul. Yes, he's gone.
Caroline, 2 separate questions. Sure. On the Machado meeting first, what is it that the president feels that he needs to hear from her or from the opposition party that he hadn't heard prior to today, or he wanted to hear in the meeting, to be able to convince him to commit to some sort of a timeline for elections?
I'm not sure the president is going into such the meeting with expectations like you just laid out, Fran. I don't think he needs to hear anything from Ms. Machado. I think generally this is a meeting that the president was willing to take and willing to accept, to meet Ms. Machado in person and to just have a frank and positive discussion about what's taking place in Venezuela. That's all.
And on the subject of Greenland, Jeff Landry, the president's special envoy for Greenland, wasn't in the White House meeting yesterday. Can you say why that was and what exactly the role he is playing in these conversations about acquiring Greenland?
Well, the vice president and the secretary of state were present for that meeting. And the meeting, it was a productive meeting. It was a good meeting. And in that meeting, the 2 sides agreed to really establish a working group of individuals who will continue to have technical talks on the acquisition of Greenland. Those talks will take place, I'm told, every 2 to 3 weeks. So this is a conversation the administration intends to keep having with the Danes and with the respected delegation from Greenland. But the president has made his priority quite clear. He wants the United States to acquire Greenland. He thinks it's in our best national security to do that.
There have been multiple instances of American citizens being detained by ICE. And I'm wondering what the administration is asking the agency to do, or what steps is the administration asking the agency to take to ensure that Americans are not wrongly arrested?
Obviously, ICE is focused on detaining individuals who are unlawfully present in the country. And there have been hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens who have been arrested and detained and deported from this country by ICE over the course of the last year. And that's their intention, and that is their goal.
I'll say again, out of my own mouth, I've been saying it all week. The best way to avoid getting shot by federal agents or getting arrested or detained by federal agents is to mind your own goddamn business. It's the best way to avoid it. Just mind your business. This has nothing to do with you. You out here breaking your neck trying to protect criminal illegals, rapists, murderers, drug dealers, sex traffickers, scammers. You out here breaking your neck trying to protect these people. As an American citizen, that's treason. The penalty for treason is death. The ultimate punishment is death. You want ICE agents to open fire on you so bad so you can be a martyr because you think you're on the right side of history. How are you on? Nobody is on the right side of history going against their own country for people who bring your country down.
Thank you, Caroline. One follow-up on Greenland. You reportedly sent troops over there. Does that change at all what the president is doing on this? And then a second question. Yesterday, in a Senate help hearing, Senator Josh Hawley repeatedly asked a doctor if men can get pregnant, and she did not directly answer that. What are your thoughts on that?
Matter of fact, I think her and California Cutie, or Cara, I think they work together for some news organization called Lindell TV. I think these two work together. I think they work together. So it's kind of interesting to see them finally, get their voices out there. But on Lindell TV, her and I believe her, they've just been like all up in congressmen and senators' faces, asking them questions and everything. And of course, matter of fact, I think you may have seen the one with Ilhan Omar. Like, she was asking her a question and Ilhan's like, "Oh, you're one of those reporters." Like, well, what type of reporter should I be? Like, I'm unbiased. Because she was asking her about the fraud. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, to your first question on Greenland, I don't think troops in Europe impact the president's decision-making process, nor does it impact his goal of the acquisition of Greenland at all. To your second question, I mean, anyone in their right mind with common sense who's speaking honestly and candidly will say that men cannot get pregnant. And I think I can attest to that myself. So thank you all very much.
All right, so yeah, that was a short one, but we still got some more to cover. I just wanted to show y'all this. So this is what happened last night with the ICE agent's car. If you
Hey, listen, I'll tell y'all, look, they on the Snapchat, so they gonna be on y'all ass if y'all recording this. They gonna be on your, they gonna be on your ass. Your ass is a witness.
Witness, really slippery.
Hey, don't hit the ball.
Now, all these people are easily recognizable. I mean, do understand, we knew where Maduro was. You think we're not gonna know where you are with this ugly jacket and you with this ugly coat and all of y'all little bummy, little dusty little Negroes out here with these goofy, low IQ white folks and this little cheap little truck? You really think that they're not gonna be able to find you? Because these people, I've said this before, these people are so stupid that they videotape their crimes. I mean, look at them. They're all videotaping their felonies. Anybody that touches that box is catching a felony. You stepping on it, you catching a felony. You flipping it, you catching a felony. You right here with these ugly shoes on, you catching a felony. You right here, felony. That's a felony. All of y'all trying to break it open. You're catching felonies. They will find you. They will find you. If you've got, let me say this right now. This was last year. Last summer, they had a headhunter who was talking about like all of the look at all these people. Look, all y'all catching felonies. You catching felonies. But they had a headhunter on there. He was saying, let me bag it up because you see she was talking. Because she just, this little niglet is so proud. Oh God. So proud of herself. I swear to God, man, my people have really fallen. Anyway, the recruiter, he was the recruiter, headhunter. He was a recruiter for a Fortune 500 company. He was saying that all of those students who called themselves protesting on those college campuses and they were wearing masks like this guy and everything, they were all wearing these masks. He was like, we have software that we know who you are. We know who you are. You just give us all you gotta do is give us your eyes. We got you. The software is that strong. And what they do, they run your little ID through their little database. And if they match you up with your little mask on, with the database, you're not getting the job. If a Fortune 500 company has that type of advanced software, what the hell do you think the federal government has? Not to mention they can access, because we live in an Orwellian society. There's cameras everywhere. Ring bell cameras, street light cameras everywhere. They can easily just track all of you. That's how they found the guy that did the pipe bombs on January 6th. They just tracked him from where he dropped the bombs off, followed him all the way to his front door. The black guy, the nerdy black guy, which was surprising. Like the DC sniper, very surprising. But now, I guess, when you see goofballs like this ready to do penitentiary time over government property because you think you having a good time, nothing surprises me anymore.
Hey, listen. Back up. Stop. Watch out.
Yeah, I'm for degenerate. Yeah, look at that. He just, I hope 10 years in prison worth that though.
That shit sounds empty, man.
They can even track their cell phone in this concentrated area and then just find you.
Oh, you doing okay, man? I'm okay. How are you? Yeah, dude, there's nothing in there. There could be coins in there.
And this guy in this Dodge, the one that pulled this out, dude, you think they're not gonna find you? You probably gonna be the second one they go after, because I'm gonna show you who the first one that they went after.
I know you just talked to a high-placed source at DOJ. Tell us more.
Yeah, so he wasn't arrested last night. He could have been, but the Minneapolis police didn't bother chasing the vehicle that had just stolen a high-powered rifle out of an FBI car. So that stole it out of one of these weapons lockers that was in the back. But what I can confirm now is that Raul Gutierrez, age 33, that you see in the video that I posted last night, stealing a firearm from an FBI vehicle, has been arrested by the ATF and the DOJ. They executed an arrest warrant today, and he's a known member of the Latin Kings gang. All
right, so for the record, The reason why they blurred this out, because this is paperwork that has like ICE agents, FBI agents' names on it, the suspect list, everything. They seized all of this. And some chick calling herself trying to be a reporter put all of this information out live on her social media channel, showing the agents' names and addresses and all this stuff. Of course, she then wound up, once she realized probably the next day, oh my God, I may have just screwed up. She's calling her and a bunch of other people calling themselves scrubbing their social media and locking them down because people were telling them what you just did was a felony. What you did is a felony. And if you don't think that the FBI already has all your stuff on record, especially if you put it here on Twitter, on X, excuse me, this is Elon Musk's platform. You think he's not downloading all your data, everything that you post on here? All your little threatening tweets, all your little threatening ICE videos and doxing people. You think they don't have this stuff already sitting in the database? So you can call yourself trying to scrub it all you want to. It's on their servers. All they have to do is pull it up. You're a very stupid person. Thank God you're dumb. Or else we wouldn't be able to catch
King's gang. I just got all this information just before I came on air. He's got a lengthy, violent rap sheet. Of course, he should have been in prison already, but in Tim Waltz, Minnesota, like they don't arrest anybody here. So it's not surprising that he was able to go out and beat this gun safe to a pulp and pull this automatic firearm out of it and run away with it. And, you know, hell, if it wasn't for, honestly, a lot of us independent journalists on the ground that were able to get a video of this, nobody would have seen it happen.
Wouldn't know about it.
They were able to find this guy based on a video from independent journalists, the one that we posted last night. I mean, it's crazy that it has to be us doing this.
So, Nick, did you talk to DOJ to get his name?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's I've been in contact with Attorney General Pam Bondi throughout the day today. We've talked to them several times.
We'll take that as a
lot more
confirmation.
material that I haven't posted. Yeah, and so they've been. There's a lot of FBI stuff going on the ground right now that I can't talk about, but there's more coming.
Good.
Is it time for the Insurrection Act, or would that just add gasoline to the fire?
I'm not going to get ahead of the president on that, but it's certainly an option, a viable option. So actually, I'll be meeting with the president tomorrow. So, you know, I think it's something that needs to be on the table because this cannot continue. There is going to be more bloodshed. I'm telling you. I hope I'm wrong, but I haven't been yet. There's going to be more bloodshed if something hasn't done.
It's going to spread, and most Minnesotans, by the way, and I want to say this tonight because folks have reached out to me, support ICE. It's this radical group of anarchists, and when you see them close up, you really get a sense of who they are. It's this crowd, a lot of them paid, a lot of them working, double shifts of protest against the rest of the state, which are reasonable, common sense, peaceful people of all backgrounds.
Remember when y'all probably didn't see the video I did last night called Why I Go So Hard. But a lot of these people are the poor. They're the poor. And a lot of the poor are low IQ because you see very few high IQ or median IQ people that are poor. It's usually the low IQ that are poor, that blame everybody else for their troubles. And of course, when you're getting a $6,000 check from some professional protesting company, you're out here in the middle of the night in the winter in Minnesota committing felonies because you're stupid. My thing is, what's really going to back these people up outside of the National Guard, you're going to need the citizens of Minnesota, be they moderate Democrats, independents, and right wingers, no matter how far left how far right they swing, is to come out there and beat these people back, physically beat these people back. Start clubbing these people upside the head. You citizen on citizen. Since they want to fight so bad, and have Trump give whoever's on going up against these paid agitators, give them full pardons. If they get arrested, full pardons, charges drop. You are fighting for your country. You are fighting for your country. No, since y'all want to let criminal illegals in and just criminals, period, in and out of jail like a revolving door, well, as the president of the United States, I'm going to do that. I'm going to revolving door the people who are fighting up against your piss poor, psychotic POS army. You really want to do it? You really want to play the game? We can play the game, and do understand you will lose. There are more people that are for America that are anti-American because y'all are doing it for a paycheck. We'll do it just because of the fun of it.
Including immigrant backgrounds. They don't like what's happened in the Twin Cities, and we're going to expose more about Jacob Fry in a moment. But Tom, I think most people are good people. They want the bad people out, and they want some peace in their neighborhoods.
And we're going to get the bad people out. And as far as the organization, everybody that's planning these protests, giving these people weapons and funding this, again, justice is coming because we're deep diving that whole thing.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. Are y'all still working on that? Anyway, so as we move away from that, I remember talking about the Affordable Care Act and how RFK Jr., remember he came out, him and Dr. Oz and everything, and they were talking about how they were making changes to foods and medicine and whatnot. And I was saying, more than likely, RFK Jr. and Trump and other people, other doctors or whatnot, they were working on fixing the healthcare system. Now, Trump went ahead and signed the ACA for another 3 years, but that doesn't mean that it can't be amended. It's just to avoid another government shutdown and to shut the Democrats up and to make them think that they can continue to siphon off tax dollars on the back end from the ACA, which, as we know it to be right now, it's a scam. Of course, at the same time, Trump cut federal funding, or is going to cut federal funding come February 1st, which is in 16 days, to all of these illegal sanctuary cities and states. Like you're not getting any federal money, which in all honesty, the federal if the federal government is going to fund anything, then it needs to do its own oversight. Stop letting governors and mayors do their own oversight because they're stealing the money, clearly. But at any rate, yes, they actually did decide to come up with some type of comprehensive health care plan, which they're still working on. And of course, this is what Trump is about to talk about. So let's go.
Today, I'm thrilled to announce my plan to lower healthcare prices for all Americans and truly make healthcare affordable again. We're doing things that nobody's ever been able to do. We're calling it the Great Healthcare Plan. Instead of putting the needs of big corporations and special interests first, our plan finally puts you first and puts more money in your pocket. The government is going to pay the money directly to you. It goes to you, and then you take the money and buy your own health care. Nobody's ever heard of that before, and that's the way it is. The big insurance companies lose, and the people of our country win. This proposal locks in the massive discounts on prescription drugs that my administration is achieving through our most favored nation drug pricing agreement. Now, when you hear about that, for 40 years they've been trying to do it, but they never were able to do it. No other president was able to do it. I got every other country to approve it by the use of tariffs and other things. They all approved it. Nobody else got it. No other president got it. And for the most part, they didn't even try because they felt it was impossible. It'll bring down drug prices 80, 90%, in some cases, just numbers that nobody's ever heard of before. Your prescription drugs will come way, way down. And under this policy, the prices of many drugs will be slashed by 300, 400, and even 500% starting this month at the TrumpRx.gov. So instead of Americans paying the highest drug prices in the world, which we have for decades, we will now be paying the lowest cost paid by any other nation. So any other nation that's paying the lowest cost, that's what we're going to pay. And the American people will get the savings. So I have to reiterate, the lowest price in the world is what you're going to pay. Before, you were paying the highest price in the world by far, and the politicians did nothing about it. So I'm asking Congress to complete the work that we've started. Next, my plan would reduce your insurance premiums by stopping government payoffs to big insurance companies and sending that money directly to the people. Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich. I call it the Unaffordable Care Act, with billions of dollars in taxpayer subsidies that helped their stock prices skyrocket over 1,700% as you paid more money for health care every single year, more and more. The premiums went higher and higher. I want to end this flagrant scam and put extra money straight into the healthcare savings account in your name, and you go out and buy your own healthcare, and you'll make a great deal. You get better healthcare for less money. That way you can choose the care that is right for your family. To further reduce insurance premiums, my plan ends the giant kickbacks to insurance brokers and corporate middlemen that only drive up the costs, and that's what they're intended to do, drive up the cost. But we're driving down the cost. And it fully funds a long neglected part of the law known as the Cost Sharing Reduction Program. This measure alone should cut premiums on the most popular Obamacare plans. It's hard to believe there are any because it's a hated program. It's unaffordable, but it's going to cut them by an average of 10 to 15%. Next, the Great Healthcare Plan. That's the name. It's called the Great Healthcare because it's great healthcare at a lower price. Mandates unprecedented accountability and transparency from insurance companies and all healthcare providers so that special interests can no longer profiteer at your expense. As the saying goes, sunlight is the best disinfectant. That is why my plan orders all insurance companies to publish rate and coverage comparisons in very plain English. It requires insurers to publish detailed information about how much of your money they're going to be paying out in claims versus how much they're taking in profits. In other words, you will be able to watch the scam. It forces them to release detailed data on how many claims are being denied and whether those denials are eventually overturned on appeal. And most importantly, it will require any hospital or insurer who accepts Medicare or Medicaid to prominently post all prices at their place of business so that you are never surprised and you can easily shop for a better deal or better care. And you're going to end up doing both. You're going to get a better deal and better care. We will have maximum price transparency and costs will come down incredibly. I'm calling on Congress to pass this framework into law without delay. Have to do it right now so that we can get immediate relief to the American people, the people I love. Thank you very much.
The massive fraud scandal in Minnesota.
So there you go. He just Trump, with all pun intended, he just trumped the ACA. Of course, you know the Democrats are all going to vote no. Majority of them are going to vote no. Hopefully, the Republican Party, who aren't taking kickbacks, will vote yes. And therefore, it will pass Congress. And then all you need is the Senate. It should pass the Senate. And then he signs it. And then it goes back. Well, it passed the Senate. and it goes back down to Congress, then it comes up and he signs it. And that's it for the ACA. That's pretty much the Democrats' last refuge of skimming money from American taxpayers. Because after the first, like he said, after the first, no more federal money to these illegal refuge states. I know I blanked. No more of these sanctuary states, sanctuary cities. That's illegal. You might as well just say that you're a traitor. But yeah, they no longer get federal money. So how are you going to get your kickbacks from the federal government if they cut off the money? Your last vestule. I mean, you can't get any more money from Venezuela or Mexico because, I mean, the drug cartels in Mexico, they've been shut down because of the border being shut down. The only thing they can do is continue the human trafficking that they have going on within the states, and that's being shut down. We already know what happened with Venezuela, so there's no more money coming out of that. So how are you going to be able to funnel money into the Democratic Party? Where is their skimming off the top going to come from? USAID is gone. The Department of Education is gone. There's complete wholesale changes to the welfare system, the Medicaid system, Section 8, food stamps. And now you've got a special prosecutor, district attorneys or attorney generals that's going to do an audit of all 50 states of their federal funding, which I think you should already have had in place decades ago. So where are you going to get your money from, Democrats? You criminal organization, you. Where are you going to get your money from? And you're sitting up here, you really think you're going to win the midterms? When you're going to have so many Democratic officials under federal investigation for theft? All this stuff going on with all of these ICE situations and everything. Yeah, in deep blue cities. Yes, you'll probably keep your Democratic leader or have a new Democratic leader. But as far as like in purple, in red states, in cities, you can forget it. You can forget it. Especially in the purple ones. And I say again, if the Supreme Court rules that redistricting based on race is illegal, if they rule it to be illegal, the Democrats are going to lose 20 congressional seats. I mean, just on the outset, just off rip, they're going to lose 20 congressional seats if they have to completely reset it and make it fair and balanced. New York, California, Illinois, Massachusetts, Maine, it's over. You can forget it. Oregon, where you did Wisconsin, where you did all that gerrymandering. Michigan, you did all that gerrymandering, all that redistricting. It'll be over. You're losing money and you're about to start bleeding. You're bleeding power. Wait till you start bleeding seats. You'll never be in power again. And if the Democrats lose 20 seats, the Democrats are in deep trouble. Yeah. They'll never be in power again. They'll be a majority minority. It'll be like a teenager living in your house, a spoiled teenager living in your house, throwing hissy fits trying to tell you what to do. You just look at them. You're like, I can't wait till you turn 18. How old are you? 12. Oh my God. Oh my God. It'd be like living with disrespectful stepkids. Anyway, so let's get into this. Secretary Turner uncovers 509 dead tenants in Minnesota, makes Mondami regret his woke housing czar. All right, yeah, let's get into this.
The massive fraud scandal in Minnesota that captured the media's attention has spurred action across the Trump administration. Of course, that was the underlying fraud that brought the Homeland Security up there, that's created what we see all this conflict. It's interesting you compare the Trump administration to the Biden administration. You might recall this. The Biden administration, after the overturn of Roe v. Wade, they wanted a whole of government approach to trying to advance abortion. And they figured out several ways to do it. The Trump administration really has a whole of government response to this corruption and this fraud that's taking place in Minnesota. And what we're finding out is like an onion. It's layer upon layer. Well, last week, the administration announced the creation of a new division in the Justice Department for national fraud enforcement, because it apparently goes beyond the boundaries of the borders of Minnesota. And the Agriculture Department announced its suspension of federal financial awards to Minnesota and Minneapolis. Well, last month, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, sent federal employees into Minneapolis and St. Paul to conduct their own investigation. And what have they found out? Well, joining me now in just a moment, we're going to be joined by the Secretary of Department of Housing and Urban Development, Scott Turner, to give us an update on what his department has discovered there in Minneapolis, in Minnesota. But and we now have him. Secretary Turner, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right. Thank you, Tony. So good to be with you, sir. Always. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. Now, we were just talking about the investigation that you've launched into Minneapolis and into St. Paul. I realize the investigation is going to take some time, but what can you tell us about your department's efforts on this and what you've found so far?
Yes, sir, Tony. Thank you. So we have boots on the ground in Minnesota. And through our fraud prevention, we have found that there is likely over $84 million in eligible assistance that was given to the state of Minnesota during the Biden administration, including almost $500,000 in improper assistance to over 500 dead tenants. And so you think about that, Tony, over $84 million of hardworking taxpayer money that was shelled out during the Biden administration in improper assistance and serving over 500 dead people with almost $500,000 of assistance. This is a lack of stewardship. It's gross negligence. But I'm grateful at this time that our team on the ground has found these improper payments, and we will hold those accountable that are responsible for this.
Hey, Secretary Turner, when you look at this combined with what was happening in the daycare, I mean, this looks like it's coordinated. It looks like this is a criminal conspiracy. It doesn't just look like people taking advantage of another government program that doesn't have the proper oversight.
No, it is. It seems like it is coordinated, and every stone that's being unturned shows us really the negligence and turning a blind eye and the lack of financial controls and really the lack of caring about the American people and taxpayer money that goes to fund these programs in Minnesota and other places around the country. And so I know under President Trump, Attorney General Bondi, the vice president, who now has announced a new associate attorney general to go after fraud, waste, and abuse in our country. I'm so glad that we have this opportunity to be transparent before the American people and root out this fraud and bring those to justice who have really criminalized the programs that were meant to help American people in need.
What is the connection between this fraud and abuse of taxpayer money and illegal immigration?
Well, as you know, over 12 million people came across our border, illegal migrants, illegal aliens came across unchecked, which has really caused the housing supply in our country to be squeezed. It's caused the cost of housing to go up. Nearly 100% of the rental demand in states like New York and California is due to illegal immigration. And so this has been a great burden on our country, but I'm thankful to the president, to Secretary Noem, Mr. Holman, and others that have secured our border. Just here at HUD, we found that over 59% of illegal alien families use one or more of our welfare programs here in America, costing about $42 billion a year. And so with that, we have to turn the faucet off and use American taxpayer money to serve the American people and American people only. And we are very intentional and focused on that at HUD as it pertains to housing and the programs that come out of our agency.
Secretary, we just have about 45 seconds left. You've been partnering with the faith community and churches to address homelessness nationwide. Very quickly, tell us about that.
Yes, sir. You know, we want to allow and bring the faith-based organizations back to the table as it pertains to serving our homeless neighbors. During the Biden administration, they really were quote unquote stiff-armed and could not come to the table to compete for our continuum of care competitive grant. So now we want to open that back up. Faith-based organizations like our Calling and others around the country are really the ones with boots on the ground serving our homeless neighbors. And we don't want to just house people, Tony. We want to house them, treat the root cause, get them transformed and back to a life of independence.
Secretary Turner, always great to see you, my friend. I know you've got a special project coming up for the 250th. We'll get you back on to talk about that. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, that was the director of HUD.
In my discussions with Governor Walz, and from what I've seen on his press gatherings, he still is not willing to work with our federal officers to bring peace to the streets of Minneapolis.
Secretary, do you have any plans to pull out of Minnesota?
No plans to pull out of Minnesota.
How would you describe what you were seeing on the ground there? Would you describe it as an insurrection, and do you believe the president should invoke the Insurrection Act?
I describe it as violent. And a violation of the law in many places. I discussed with the president this morning several things that we are dealing with under the department and different operations. We did discuss the Insurrection Act. He certainly has the constitutional authority to utilize that. My hope is that this leadership team in Minnesota will start to work with us to get criminals off the streets. Remember, we are there in surged operations because of the largest fraud scheme in American history. We had people stealing from taxpayers, stealing funds away from the most vulnerable individuals in this country, people who needed mental health services, developmental services, autism, daycare. Instead, individuals came in much from the Somalian community and stole dollars from those people who needed it and put it in their own pockets and enriched themselves. Did it right under Governor Walz's nose. And we believe that he didn't just know about it, that he may be complicit in it as well.
Do you believe there are any cases in Minnesota where the ICE agents have gone too far?
Our ICE agents are following the law and running their operations according to training. Last night, what we saw was 3 individuals weaponize shovels and brooms and attack an ICE officer that had to defend himself. So we're hopeful that we don't see that again, that these protesters and violent rioters will be held accountable for the actions that they're taking and that our officers can do their work safely.
What about that officer that you were mentioning? Can you give us an update on that ICE officer's condition after he was hit with the shovel? And
You know, he was.
We're seeing those cars looted in Minnesota. Can you provide an update on what the agency is going to do about that, and if you're concerned with the documents that were taken by those?
Well, I believe that those vehicles were FBI vehicles, not our Department of Homeland Security vehicles. So I'm not certain what documents were in there that those criminals may have taken and seen. But I would say that our agent is beat up, he's bruised, he's injured, he's getting treatment, and we're thankful that he made it out alive.
Secretary Noem, are you okay with federal agents and officers violating people's Fourth Amendment rights by asking for papers without reasonable suspicion?
Every single action that our ICE officers take is according to the law and following protocols that we have used for years, that this administration has used, that the previous administration used. They are doing everything correctly, and over again in litigation in the courts, we've proven that they've done the right thing.
Why is it within their right to do that? Why is it within their right to ask for papers without reasonable suspicion?
With the president, sorry, I'll let you go back to that.
You said you discussed the Insurrection Act with the president. Did you recommend that?
No, we just discussed it, that it was one of the options that he had constitutionally. And we talked about the fact that we're going to
Wait, I'm laughing. The cameraman did a drive-by him. He did a drive-by shooting. Watch the background. He gonna do a drive-by shooting.
With the president, did you recommend that?
No, we just discussed it, that it was one of the options that he had constitutionally. And
Anyway.
we talked about the fact that we're going to continue our operations in Minneapolis and have the resources that we need to get the job done.
Do you think he'll likely invoke?
Yes.
How many tankers is our Coast Guard tracking that are loose, and are any of them out of the Caribbean that you're tracking worldwide?
I can't speak to the specifics of the operation, although we are watching the entire Shadow Fleet and how they're moving. I'm very proud of our Coast Guard, how they've partnered with the Department of War to do unprecedented actions in bringing these flags under jurisdiction that often, or these ships under jurisdiction that in many instances aren't flagged or they're affiliated with a country, moving this unauthorized oil to avoid our sanction policy.
Did the president say
yes? What's that?
When like the video that was posted this morning, do you watch any of those operations?
Absolutely, I do.
Share them with the
Absolutely, I do.
president today?
Yes, absolutely, we do. We've haven't slept a lot lately between the Coast Guard operations, what they're doing in partnership with the Department of War in dealing with the Shadow Fleet. What we're also doing as far as operations with law enforcement across the country. The Department of Homeland Security is very busy.
Can you respond to
Yes.
Madam Secretary, perhaps to follow up? Why are we seeing Americans being asked on the street to provide proof of citizenship in Minnesota? Is that targeted enforcement? And are you advising Americans to carry proof of citizenship?
In every situation, we're doing targeted enforcement. If we are on a
Hell yeah. I said that when Trump got elected. When ICE agents were being dispatched across the country. I was like, if you are of Hispanic or African, or if you're of immigrant descent, you need to care. If you are an American citizen or got your green card or whatever, you need to have your papers on you. So if they, by chance, happen to run up on you, hey, yes, I have ID right here. Yes, here you go. Here's my ID. And they can verify you right there on the spot. You know how they have the ID scanners and the fingerprint scanners and all that stuff. They can verify you right there on the spot. If you, and I said this months ago, like if you call yourself trying to play the stupid game, I ain't got my ID. You want to act like a ghetto black person? I ain't got my ID. I ain't got to give you nothing. Okay, we'll get in the back of the car, back of the van, and we'll take you to the station, and we'll hold you until we can identify you. How about that? They're not just gonna let you walk away. You make it hard on yourself.
target and doing an operation, there may be individuals surrounding that criminal that we may be asking who they are and why they're there and having them validate their identity. That's what we've always done, and asking people who they are so that we know who's in those surroundings. And if they are breaking our federal laws, we will detain them as well until we run that processing.
Yes. What the final straw?
I'm going to go right here.
Do you think that there needs to be an Insurrection Act invoked?
Oh, I think that the president has that opportunity in the future. It's his constitutional right, and it's up to him if he wants to utilize it.
Likely to do it?
I don't know.
Would that
It
if he
has to-
does it,
yes.
would it lead to more deadly killings in Minnesota if the Insurrection Act is invoked?
If anything doesn't change with Governor Walz, I don't anticipate that the streets will get any safer or more peaceful. Governor Walz and his leadership team need to come to us and find out how we can work together like we have in many other states. We didn't see this kind of reaction in Louisiana when we ran our operations, exactly how we are running them in Minneapolis. But we had a very different response because we had leaders that were working with us. If you saw our operations in Florida, extremely successful. In Minneapolis so far, we brought hundreds of criminals off the streets that were dangerous to society and dangerous to that community. We would wish that Governor Walz could take an example from the governor of Louisiana, the governor of Florida, and work with us to do the right thing for his people.
Your officers are dealing with more protesters. Do you think they need more de-escalation training, though, given some of the scenarios we have seen?
You know, the officers that we have out there are very highly trained and skilled, specific for the operations that they're doing. They're utilizing the most gifted individuals on these operations to go out and to do enforcement, because many times if they're going after murderers, they're going after professionals and gangs and terrorists that are here in our country illegally. And I'll remind you, the only reason we're in this situation is because the Biden administration allowed 20 million people to come into this country unvetted. My every day is spent thinking about the known terrorists that are in this country that I just haven't found yet. The suspected terrorists, the criminals, the murderers, the pedophiles that are out there on the streets that we need to find and get off the streets, because Joe Biden opened up our borders and allowed that invasion to happen. If you can imagine the kind of dysfunctional criminal gangs and organizations that use that open border as an opportunity to infiltrate America, it's overwhelming at times. And that's why President Trump is so strong at taking action and making sure he's in every single state, following through on his commitments to every single citizen.
Did the president say what his final straw would be to invoke the Insurrection Act if he did?
No, this president uses all the information and intelligence that he can get. That's why he calls me, he calls Pete, he calls local law enforcement. He talks to those individuals and agents as well that are involved, that he knows well. This president makes fully informed decisions and utilizes his authorities when it's appropriate.
Bringing in the military
Reina
would
Machado is
inflame the
coming to the
situation?
White House today. Are you going to be in the meeting because a lot of illegals are from Venezuela?
I think
or are you going to talk with Delcy Rodriguez like Trump?
I think I have other commitments today. We are putting in the new commandant of the Coast Guard. He is having his swearing in ceremony, so I'll be doing that. And then I have some meetings with law enforcement. So I will not be in that meeting, but the president will keep me informed.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Have you number 2 at ICE?
Well, I think the gentlelady from South Carolina, particularly for her shout out to the National Guard from her home state that has been deployed to the District of Columbia. Unfortunately, that has been necessary, and I'm proud of the president for trying to make sure that we secure the nation's capital. And they are one of the many National Guard units that have been deployed to do the job that the people of D.C. should be doing if they were competent and if they were doing what they're supposed to do as the nation's capital. The president is taking charge and he's leading to ensure that our nation's capital is safe for the American people to come visit. I would note that, relatedly, when you're talking about the state of law enforcement and state of the security of the American people, we've heard a lot of criticisms from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, both in the House and the Senate, and generally around the country, directed at the great men and women of ICE, the law enforcement agency that is dedicated to the task of removing illegal aliens, and in particular, dangerous illegal aliens from the streets of the United States of America according to the law, particularly focusing and targeting those individuals. I believe the number is around 1.5 million people who are currently in the United States under orders of removal. That is, they've gone through the process. Judges in this country have ordered the removal of 1.5 million people, and ICE is tasked with removing them. And hundreds of thousands of them are dangerous individuals who have committed crimes in their home countries, who are trafficking narcotics, and have been engaging in criminal behavior in the United States of America. And what do my Democratic colleagues do? They stand up in defense of criminals, of criminal illegal aliens, and in constant attack of the men and women of ICE. Let's just go through some recent criticisms of the people, of the great men and women who are working for ICE. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz smeared ICE officers as, quote, a threat to the public, called ICE reckless, suggested the state is at war with federal officers and under attack by ICE, and smeared ICE as, quote, the modern day Gestapo. California Governor Gavin Newsom likened ICE to secret police, calling them authoritarian and calling the people to, quote, push back. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker claimed ICE is turning the country into Nazi Germany. New York Governor Kathy Hochul accused ICE of terrorizing people. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro claimed ICE officers are, quote, making our neighborhoods less safe. Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan said ICE officers cause chaos and terror. Senator Chuck Schumer declared that ICE does not belong in our neighborhoods. Senator Tina Smith called ICE, quote, a clear and present threat. Senator John Hickenlooper smeared ICE as a reign of terror. Senator Jeff Merkley likened ICE operations to fascism and claimed officers are doing nothing but terrorizing our communities. Senator Bernie Sanders asked people to, quote, stop ICE from what they are doing as soon as possible. Senator Elizabeth Warren claimed ICE is, quote, intentionally stoking fear and tearing communities apart. Senator Ruben Gallego said ICE exists, quote, to scare the American public. Senator Mark Warner equated ICE officers to a brutal dictator. Senator Dick Blumenthal accused ICE of spreading lawlessness and recklessness. Senator Alex Padilla accused ICE of indiscriminate violence. Senator Dick Durbin accused ICE of officers of committing atrocities. Representative Ilhan Omar said ICE is, quote, state violence, called officers, quote, vile and beyond cruel, and stated, quote, abolishing ICE is not enough, end quote. Representative Pramila Jayapal called ICE officers, quote, deranged, accused them of, quote, kidnapping, and said, quote, resistance to ICE is, quote, inspiring, and claimed ICE officers will, quote, shoot at you and kill you, end quote. Representative Eric Swalwell smeared ICE officers, quote, masked thugs, called them, quote, terrorizing bandits, said it was his priority to ensure officers are, quote, no longer faceless, compared them to the KGB and demanded they, quote, stay the F out of California, end quote. Representative Jasmine Crockett compared ICE to, quote, slave patrols and called them thugs. Representative Delia Ramirez said ICE is the single biggest threat to public safety right now. I want to repeat. She said ICE is the single biggest threat to public safety right now and attacked ICE as a terror force. Representative Summer Lee said ICE is out of control and a police state. Representative Ayanna Pressley called ICE a rogue, violent agency that has no business in our communities and must be abolished, and accused ICE of terrorizing our communities. Representative April McLean Delaney called ICE lawless. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called ICE, quote, an anti-civilian force, and they should not exist. Representative Rashida Tlaib said ICE is, quote, terrorizing our communities and, quote, turning our country into a fascist police state, calling it a rogue agency and calling it for it to be abolished. Representative Julie Johnson excused violence against ICE as people, quote, channeling that frustration. Representative Laura Friedman said ICE officers are, quote, terrorizing our friends and neighbors and bringing chaos and violence to our streets. I've got dozens more of these that I could continue to fill time on the House floor going through the absolute vitriolic attacks on the people of ICE. Literally another 30 in the list that I could read off. That is what is occurring on a daily basis, being directed at the people of ICE. Now, I want to give you a tale of two choices. I want you to look at and make a decision here about who you want to focus on. Over here, we have victims of dangerous illegal aliens that were in the United States of America. Over here, we have 5 Americans who are no longer with us. We have Kayla Hamilton, a 20-year-old woman with autism living in Aberdeen, Maryland, who was savagely strangled to death by an illegal alien MS-13 gang member released by Biden at the border. We have Sergeant Brandon Mendoza, a 13-year Mesa Police Department veteran who was struck by a previously convicted illegal alien who was drunk when he struck Brandon, that gentleman from Arizona. We have, somewhat probably most infamously, Laken Hope Riley. Riley was a 22-year-old nursing student who attended Augusta University, was killed by a Tren de Aragua gang member who illegally paroled into the country under Joe Biden. We have Rachel Marin, a 37-year-old Maryland mother of 5 who was raped and murdered while going out for a walk by an illegal alien who snuck across the border under Biden. And we have Jocelyn Nungray, a woman whose mother I've gotten to know, a woman whose mother I invited to join us at the inauguration of President Trump a year ago because of her courage for standing up and calling out the lawlessness of people who have been released on the streets of this country that resulted in the death of her daughter, Jocelyn. Jocelyn was a 12-year-old girl in Houston who was out for a walk when 2 Venezuelan illegal aliens released under Biden forced under a bridge and forced her to take off her clothes before she was savagely killed in Houston, Texas, my home state.
Don't forget they violently sexually assaulted her. But I mean, I hate to say this, but her mistake was in trusting those 2 guys because they spoke the same language. Because she was walking with them until they came to that bridge, and then they snatched her and, of course, did the horrible things that they did to her. When, as a 12-year-old girl who just snuck out of the house after 11 o'clock at night, should have been stranger endangering all the way through. But, you know, she was a 12-year-old girl. She doesn't know any better. Kids do the stupidest things.
And you want to know what? Their lives mattered. Those individuals' lives mattered. And my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, whether they're in this chamber or in the other chamber or in state houses across this country, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle want to ignore what has happened to these 5 Americans, by the way, who are simply the faces of hundreds of thousands of Americans who have lost their lives violently through narcotics, through fentanyl, through drunk drivers, through murder, through rape, through intimidation. They represent a large block of Americans suffering at the hands of people who have been released on our streets purposely for crass political purposes by my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. And the fact is, that has left us with a current situation that is even worse. And I'm going to go through a few more, and then I want to bring my colleagues into this conversation. Here behind me, after all of the eruption over what has occurred in Minnesota, where there's been a lot of vitriol being directed at ICE in Minnesota, let us look at these individuals right here, which represent about 18 individuals that are the people that ICE have been arresting in Minnesota. So a lot of news over one incident in Minnesota. And what we have here are a Somalian illegal alien convicted of homicide. We have a Salvadoran illegal alien convicted of 3 counts of homicide with a deportation order since June of 25. We have a Mexican illegal convicted of homicide who was previously deported in 2002. We have a Sudanese illegal alien convicted of homicide. We have a Laotian illegal alien convicted of 2 counts of homicide with a deportation order since 2009. We have an illegal alien from Sierra Leone convicted of 2 counts of homicide with a deportation order since 2022. We have a Mexican illegal alien convicted of homicide with a deportation order since 2015. We have a Somalian illegal alien convicted of manslaughter with a deportation order since 2022. We have a Sudanese illegal alien convicted of attempt to commit homicide, weapon possession, and DUI. A Guatemalan illegal alien convicted of negligent homicide with a vehicle and DUI with a deportation order since 2022. A Burmese illegal alien convicted of negligent homicide. Another Laotian illegal alien convicted of a strong-arm rape of a 12-year-old girl and kidnapping a child with intent to sexually assault her with a deportation order since 2024. A Laotian illegal alien convicted of strong-arm rape, aggravated assault with a weapon, and strangulation with a deportation order since 2012. A Laotian illegal alien convicted of rape and child fondling with a deportation order since 2003.
Now keep in mind, this is who these low IQ liberals are out here fighting for, to keep in the country. They don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear this.
A Laotian illegal alien convicted of rape with a weapon, and sexual assault with a deportation order since 1996. Mexican illegal alien convicted of sexual assault of a child and DUI with a deportation order since 2016. A Laotian illegal alien convicted of strong-arm sodomy of a boy. A strong-arm sodomy of a girl with a deportation order since 2018. A Laotian illegal alien convicted of sexual assault and sodomy of a girl under age 13 and procuring a child for prostitution with a deportation order since 2006. These are the individuals in Minnesota that ICE, who are being attacked, criticized, demonized by my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. Those individuals went out, risked their lives, put their lives on the line to remove these people from our streets so that our children might be saved, so that our families might be saved. No, I'm not going to apologize for ICE. No, I'm not going to join in the bandwagon of criticisms against ICE. Yes, you review procedures. Yes, you make sure you do things by the book and that people have due process. But let's remember, when we're talking about people who are on our streets as guests of our country, and they're committing violence against the people of our country, we have a duty to remove them, deport them, and do it immediately and swiftly. Let's flip the page real quick. Couple more. Let's look beyond just Minnesota. Because remember, when you have dangerous people in places like Minnesota and lawless states like California and New York, where you have sanctuary cities, then there are dangerous people throughout our country too. This is just the worst of the worst from yesterday. Just yesterday. In Virginia, a 20-year-old citizen of Guatemala was convicted for possessing obscene material of a minor and filming child porn. In my home state of Texas, a criminal illegal alien from Mexico was convicted for aggravated assault of a family member in Harris County. In New York, a criminal illegal alien from Jamaica was convicted for burglary. A criminal illegal alien from Mexico was convicted for burglary. And a criminal illegal alien from El Salvador was convicted for false imprisonment and battery. Now, that was just yesterday. Now, let's look real quick at the worst of the worst from 2025 generally, not just yesterday. In Louisiana, a sexual predator, an illegal alien from Honduras, whose criminal history includes active warrants for 394 counts of pornography involving juveniles and 2 counts of sexual abuse of an animal. In Kansas, a violent criminal illegal alien from Mexico was sentenced to 20 years in prison for 1 count of forcible assault on a federal officer after he violently punched an ICE officer and attempted to strangle the officer with his own badge cord. In Virginia, an Afghan national who entered the United States under Joe Biden's, quote, Operation Allies Welcome, provided support to the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, and his father is a commander of a militia group in Afghanistan. In Nebraska, an illegal alien from Honduras and a leader of MS-13, also known as Phantasma, wanted in his home country for a quadruple homicide. After being charged with firearms charges in Honduras, he allegedly bribed his way out of jail and illegally entered the United States. In Houston, a criminal illegal alien from El Salvador, whose criminal history includes convictions for sexual assault of a child under 17, multiple DUIs, child fondling, and illegally re-entering the United States, already previously. When ICE conducted an enforcement operation in November to arrest him, he brutally beat an ICE officer with a metal coffee cup, causing a severe laceration to the officer's mouth and burns to the officer's face. Now, where are my Democratic colleagues concerned about the ICE officer who put his life on the line and gets mauled and has a laceration across his face because he's trying to stop murderers and rapists and child pornographers from being on American streets?
And keep in mind, they dump these people in poor black neighborhoods. They dump these people in poor black neighborhoods. And you out here fighting for them. With your low IQ. You notice you don't see anybody with any ounce of real intelligence out here fighting for these scumbags. or speaking up on behalf of these scumbags. You don't see anybody with any type of, with just a median IQ defending Somalians, defending Hispanic illegals, defending Nigerians. You don't see anybody with just a monicum of medium intelligence. Medium intelligence is up. It's always the low IQs. It's always the low IQs. And because they really think that this is about racism. Oh my God. All right, y'all. Let's get some sleep. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.
No, gentlemen. Mr. Butler's been up north, I hear. Don't you agree with this, Mr. Butler? I think it's hard winning a war with words, gentlemen. What do you mean, sir? I mean, Mr. Hamilton, there's not a cannon factory in the whole South. What difference does that make, sir, to a gentleman? I'm afraid it's going to make a great deal of difference to a great many gentlemen, sir.
Are you hinting, Mr. Butler, that the Yankees can lick us?
No, I'm not hinting. I'm saying very plainly that the Yankees are better equipped than we. They've got factories, shipyards, coal mines, and a fleet to bottle up our harbors and starve us to death. All we've got is cotton and slaves and arrogance. That's treachery!
A problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Right. Hi. Thanks for the fun.
Get the fuck out!